Deep within the labyrinthine archives of Buckingham Palace, where dust clings to centuries of power and betrayal, a solitary historian uncovers a document sealed in secrecy for generations. Its contents threaten to unravel the delicate threads of royal legitimacy, and at the heart of it all stands Queen Camilla. As whispers echo through marble corridors, one question emerges. Has the monarchy unknowingly protected a secret that could strip an entire family of their royal rights forever? The historian was not a figure of grandeur, nor a voice known to the public, but within the palace walls their reputation carried quiet authority. A guardian of memory, a keeper of truth, entrusted with preserving the fragile history of the crown. Years of devoted service had taught them discretion, patience, and reverence for tradition. Yet nothing in their careful, methodical career had prepared them for the weight of the revelation that lay hidden among the royal archives. Beneath Buckingham Palace exists a world few have ever seen, a restricted repository sealed from public knowledge, accessible only to those sworn to silence. Generations of monarchs had entrusted their secrets to these subterranean vaults, where iron doors stood sentinel over parchment, ink, and centuries of whispered intrigue. Here history slept in shadow, undisturbed and unquestioned, protected by tradition as impenetrable as stone. The historian moved through this silent sanctum with measured precision, guided by instinct and an unspoken sense that destiny had drawn them to this moment. It was there, concealed behind a false ledger and tucked among neglected records, that the document emerged. Its parchment was brittle with age, its edges frayed, its seal unbroken for centuries. The insignia pressed into the wax was unfamiliar, neither entirely foreign nor wholly recognizable, an emblem that seemed to belong to a forgotten chapter of royal authority. The historian's pulse quickened as they held it in trembling hands, sensing the gravity of a truth long buried. As the seal gave way and the inked words revealed themselves, fragments of meaning began to form, references to lineage, inheritance, and the delicate architecture of royal legitimacy. The language was precise, deliberate, and unmistakably official. This was no ordinary record. It was a decree, a testament of power, and its implications stretched across generations. With each line deciphered, the historian's composure faltered, replaced by a dawning realization that the document implicated the ancestral line of Queen Camilla herself. The discovery stirred a quiet storm within them. Loyalty to the crown had defined their life's work, yet truth demanded recognition. The weight of history pressed heavily upon their conscience, whispering of consequences too vast to ignore. Could this document, hidden for centuries, truly possess the authority to strip an entire family of their royal rights? The thought lingered like a shadow, impossible to dismiss. A chill of unease settled in as the historian sensed something more, a subtle, unspoken resistance woven into the very fabric of the palace. This was not merely a forgotten relic, but a secret deliberately concealed. Doors that had once opened freely seemed to close more quietly now, and silence lingered where conversation once flowed. The crown, it seemed, had long guarded this truth, preserving it within the darkness of its own making. Alone among the echoes of history, the historian felt the presence of those who had come before, scribes, courtiers, and monarchs whose decisions had shaped the fate of a nation. Their whispers lingered in memory and ink, urging caution yet demanding courage. The choice ahead was perilous, but the pursuit of truth could not be abandoned. With steady resolve, the historian secured the document and vowed to investigate further, setting into motion a chain of revelations that would challenge the very foundations of royal authority. But as the inked words began to reveal their meaning, the historian realizes this discovery is not merely historical, it is dangerously personal. Long before Queen Camilla ascended beside the king, her family name echoed through aristocratic halls cloaked in privilege and quiet controversy. Yet beneath the elegance of the Parker Bowles lineage lies a story buried by time, one whispered in courtly circles but never confirmed. As hidden letters and forgotten portraits emerge, a startling possibility surfaces. What if Camilla's ancestry was never meant to claim royal proximity at all? The historian, still unsettled by the implications of the sealed decree, turns their attention to the roots of the Parker Bowles family, tracing a lineage steeped in refinement, influence, and discreet ambition. For generations, the name had commanded respect within Britain's aristocratic circles, never royal, yet always dangerously close to the crown. Invitations to court, alliances with noble houses, and a reputation for quiet resilience had secured their place among the elite. To the public, the family's ascent seemed natural, inevitable even. But within the hushed corridors of tradition, whispers lingered like unfinished sentences. Those whispers, dismissed as idle gossip by many, spoke of origins cloaked in uncertainty. Court insiders had long murmured of a shadowed beginning, a question mark hovering over the family's earliest claim to distinction. It was said that doors had opened with unusual ease, titles bestowed without resistance, and fortunes secured through alliances that defied expectation. These murmurs, never spoken aloud beyond trusted confidants, carried the unmistakable scent of secrecy. Now, in the wake of the historian's discovery, those forgotten suspicions began to stir once more. As the investigation deepened, fragments of correspondence surfaced, private letters exchanged between ancestors and influential figures of the court. Their language was elegant yet guarded, filled with veiled references to uncertainties, delicate arrangements, and matters best preserved in silence. Each line hinted at a truth deliberately obscured, a question of legitimacy quietly negotiated behind closed doors. The historian felt a growing unease, sensing that these fragile pages were not merely relics of the past, but echoes of a secret too dangerous to confront openly. Political alliances, once celebrated as triumphs of diplomacy, now appeared in a different light. Strategic marriages and carefully cultivated loyalties had elevated the Parker Bowles name into the orbit of royalty, weaving them into the fabric of Britain's ruling elite. Yet ambition, as history often proves, is rarely innocent. It thrives in shadows, nourished by necessity and survival. The family's rise, once admired as a testament to perseverance, now bore the subtle imprint of compromise, a legacy shaped not only by privilege, but by the relentless pursuit of acceptance. Behind the polished fade lay an emotional truth rarely acknowledged: generations of ambition fueled by the fear of exclusion. To belong within the royal sphere was to secure permanence, to silence doubt, and to ensure survival. Each triumph carried the weight of expectation, each alliance a fragile shield against scrutiny. The historian, piecing together these fragments, felt the human heartbeat beneath the grandeur, a family striving not merely for influence, but for legitimacy. Yet beneath these revelations lingered a darker suggestion. Scattered references in neglected archives hinted at a scandal once whispered across society, a controversy abruptly silenced and carefully erased from record. Newspapers that should have chronicled the story were conspicuously absent. Official accounts bore gaps where truth should have resided. It was as if history itself had been rewritten, guided by an invisible hand determined to preserve the crown's stability at any cost. The more the historian uncovered, the clearer the pattern became. Portraits preserved the dignity of generations, while faded letters guarded their secrets. Ceremonial records spoke of honor, yet beneath their formality lay subtle inconsistencies, omissions that refused to be ignored. Each discovery deepened the mystery, drawing a fragile thread between past ambition and present consequence. The sealed decree, once an isolated enigma, now appeared as the culmination of a long-concealed narrative, a generational secret waiting to be revealed. As the historian delves deeper into the family's past, a chilling realization emerges: this was no mere oversight, but a secret deliberately buried by the crown itself. Hidden behind a false ledger and sealed with wax hardened by centuries, the document reveals itself to be more than a genealogical record. It is a royal decree. Signed in secrecy and never publicly acknowledged, its implications are staggering. If authentic, this forgotten edict possesses the authority to strip Queen Camilla's family of their royal rights forever. But why was it concealed? And who ensured its silence endured? The historian's hands tremble as they examine the parchment more closely, aware that what rests before them is not merely a relic of the past, but a weapon forged in secrecy. The paper bears the unmistakable weight of royal authority, aged yet preserved with deliberate care. Its seal, pressed deep into hardened wax, carries an insignia long vanished from official heraldry, an emblem whispered about in obscure footnotes but never openly acknowledged. The ink, faded yet resolute, flows in archaic script, each word etched with deliberate precision, as though intended to endure the passage of centuries and the scrutiny of history itself. As the historian begins to decipher the decree, the truth emerges with chilling clarity. This is no symbolic gesture or ceremonial proclamation. It is an official royal edict, composed in language unmistakably legal and binding, addressing matters of inheritance, bloodline, and legitimacy. Its clauses speak with cold authority, outlining conditions under which titles and privileges could be revoked, stripped not by scandal or public outrage, but by the silent enforcement of royal will. The realization lands heavily the document was never meant to be discovered. It was meant to exist only as a hidden safeguard, a silent threat preserved for a moment of necessity. Further examination reveals the sovereign who authorized the decree, a monarch whose reign was marked by political turbulence and calculated alliances. Their name, inscribed in unwavering script, carries the weight of absolute power. A reminder of an era when royal decrees could alter destinies with a single stroke of the pen. The historian feels the past closing in, sensing the gravity of a decision made in secrecy, one that would echo through generations, shaping the fragile balance between nobility and crown. The implications for Camilla's family are profound and devastating. Should the decree's authority be recognized, the Parker Bowles lineage could be cast into uncertainty, their proximity to the throne transformed into a precarious illusion. Titles, honors, and centuries of carefully cultivated prestige would hang by a thread, vulnerable to the resurgence of a forgotten command. Within the aristocracy and royal court, where lineage defines legitimacy, such a revelation would reverberate like a thunderclap, threatening to dismantle reputations and rewrite the narrative of royal acceptance. As the historian reads on, fear begins to take root. The language grows unmistakably clear, each clause tightening like a noose around a truth long suppressed. This was not a theoretical decree, it was a contingency, crafted with intention and guarded with vigilance. A sense of dread settles in, accompanied by the haunting suspicion that powerful figures once conspired to ensure its silence. Records were obscured, references omitted, and archives quietly altered. The decree's survival, hidden in shadow for centuries, speaks not of neglect but of calculated preservation. In the historian's mind, the past unfolds with unsettling clarity. Clandestine meetings held in secrecy, hushed deliberations among courtiers sworn to loyalty, and midnight signings that sealed the fate of a family yet to ascend to prominence. These imagined echoes of conspiracy feel less like speculation and more like memory and inheritance of silence passed from one generation of guardians to the next. The stakes rise with every word deciphered. The historian realizes that exposing the decree could ignite a constitutional crisis, challenging not only the legitimacy of a royal consort, but the integrity of the crown itself. The monarchy, an institution built upon tradition and continuity, would be forced to confront a secret buried deep within its own foundations. And with that realization comes an even more unsettling question: how many within the modern monarchy already know the truth? As rumors begin to ripple through Buckingham Palace, the historian senses a shift in the air, doors close more quickly. Conversations fall silent, and unseen eyes follow every step. The discovery has awakened something within the monarchy: fear. From discreet warnings to veiled threats, the palace machinery begins to move, determined to contain a revelation that could destabilize the crown and erase Camilla's legacy from royal history. What began as quiet research now feels perilous. Subtle changes emerge, almost imperceptible at first, requests for access delayed without explanation, documents quietly reassigned, and once cordial exchanges replaced by measured politeness. No accusations are spoken aloud, yet the message is unmistakable: someone is watching. The historian, long accustomed to the rhythms of royal scholarship, senses the invisible pressure of an institution tightening its grip, as though the very walls have awakened to guard their secrets. Whispers drift through trusted circles, carried by palace insiders who speak in careful tones and unfinished sentences. Their words are laced with implication, hinting that the decree's existence is not as unknown as it appears. Some suggest that the document has been guarded across generations, passed from one custodian to another in silence. Others offer cautious warnings, urging restraint, reminding the historian that the monarchy's survival has always depended on discretion. These murmured confidences deepen the mystery, revealing a legacy not only of power but of deliberate concealment. Caught between reverence and responsibility, the historian grapples with an agonizing conflict. Loyalty to the crown has shaped a lifetime of service, a quiet oath to preserve its dignity and protect its continuity. Yet truth, once uncovered, demands acknowledgement. The weight of that truth presses heavily, stirring doubt and resolve in equal measure. To remain silent is to betray history itself. To speak is to challenge an institution built upon centuries of tradition. The choice is not merely professional, it is profoundly personal, and the consequences loom larger with every passing moment. Behind closed doors, confidential discussions unfold among royal advisors, their deliberations cloaked in urgency. Though never publicly acknowledged, their concern is palpable, fueled by the fear of scandal and constitutional upheaval. The decree's potential implications ripple through the corridors of power, threatening to destabilize alliances and ignite public scrutiny. For an institution rooted in continuity, the mere suggestion of uncertainty is enough to unsettle its foundations. Damage control becomes instinctive, secrecy reflexive, and silence an unspoken command. As pressure mounts, the historian's access to records grows increasingly restricted. Permissions once granted without hesitation are suddenly questioned, archives temporarily sealed, inquiries deferred with courteous finality. Each obstacle reinforces a growing sense of isolation, nurturing a quiet paranoia that refuses to be dismissed. The palace, once a sanctuary of knowledge, now feels like a fortress guarding its truths with unwavering resolve. The monarchy's tradition of secrecy reveals itself not as an anomaly, but as an inheritance, a mechanism refined over centuries to preserve stability at any cost. Stories of whispered consultations and silent agreements echo through memory, reminders of a system designed to endure through discretion and control. In this hidden world, truths are not erased but buried, safeguarded beneath layers of loyalty and silence. The historian senses an approaching reckoning. Subtle warnings sharpen into veiled threats, and unspoken questions linger in every interaction. The decree, once an obscure relic, has become a catalyst for unease, its presence stirring dormant anxieties within the highest ranks of the royal household. Somewhere within the palace hierarchy, decisions are being made, decisions that may determine whether the truth is revealed or forever entombed. And yet, as silence tightens its grip and the historian navigates this perilous terrain, fragments of the past begin to surface, forgotten references, obscured correspondences, and traces of a controversy that once threatened to emerge. Piece by piece, they suggest a haunting possibility. The secret was not merely hidden but nearly exposed before, its revelation halted with ruthless precision. But as silence tightens its grip, the historian uncovers evidence suggesting the secret was once nearly exposed and violently suppressed. Decades before Camilla's rise to the throne, a scandal surfaced, briefly igniting whispers of illegitimacy before vanishing without explanation. Newspapers were silenced, records disappeared, and witnesses faded into obscurity. Now, buried fragments of that forgotten crisis resurface, revealing a chilling pattern of suppression. Was this royal decree the very secret that once threatened to fracture the monarchy, and was it deliberately buried to preserve Camilla's future? As the historian pieces together the scattered remnants of the past, the shadow of a long-forgotten controversy begins to take shape. It emerges not as a singular event, but as a ripple that once threatened to swell into a storm, an unsettling murmur circulating through aristocratic circles, quietly questioning the foundations of lineage and legitimacy. At the heart of this scandal stood Camilla's ancestors, figures cloaked in privilege yet haunted by whispers that refused to be silenced. For a brief, volatile moment, doubt seeped into the rigid hierarchy of the British establishment, unsettling a lineage long accepted without question. Evidence surfaces in fragments, disjointed reports, references in private journals, and faint traces of correspondence that hint at a controversy abruptly extinguished. Newspapers that once carried tantalizing headlines suddenly fell silent, their columns replaced with careful omissions. Official records, meticulously maintained in every other regard, bore inexplicable gaps, as though entire chapters had been quietly excised. The pattern is unmistakable, a coordinated effort to suppress the narrative before it could ignite public scrutiny. Royal intervention, discreet yet decisive, appears to have intervened at the precise moment the scandal threatened to erupt into open crisis. Through the voices of fictionalized witnesses and historians, the emotional weight of the episode comes alive. One recounts the tension of hushed conversations behind closed doors, where reputations trembled on the brink of ruin. Another recalls the unease that settled over society, as rumors spread like wildfire, only to be extinguished without explanation. Their recollections, though fragmented, carry the unmistakable resonance of truth echoes of a moment when the monarchy's carefully guarded fade stood perilously close to fracture. As the historian connects these testimonies to the sealed decree, a chilling realization takes hold. The document was not merely a dormant relic, but a silent instrument crafted to contain a threat once deemed too dangerous to confront publicly. Its clauses align with the scandal's shadowed implications, suggesting that the decree served as both shield and warning, a contingency designed to preserve royal stability while quietly controlling the narrative of legitimacy. The past and present converge with unsettling precision, revealing a deliberate orchestration of silence. The monarchy's power to rewrite history emerges with stark clarity. It is not exercised through overt force, but through omission, discretion, and the careful preservation of appearances. Stories vanish, headlines dissolve, and truths recede into obscurity, replaced by narratives of continuity and dignity. What remains is a curated legacy, polished to perfection, while inconvenient truths are consigned to the margins of memory. The vanished headlines and censored archives stand as silent witnesses to this invisible hand, reminders that history, when threatened, can be reshaped to serve the crown. With each revelation, suspicion deepens. If exposed, the scandal could challenge not only the standing of Camilla's family, but the very legitimacy of the institution that shielded it. The stakes rise with relentless intensity, transforming the historian's inquiry into a confrontation with centuries of authority. What once seemed an academic pursuit now carries the weight of destiny, poised to unravel a narrative long preserved through silence and loyalty. Driven by conviction and burdened by responsibility, the historian resolves to bring the truth into the light. The fragments of the past coalesce into a story too powerful to remain hidden, a revelation poised to reshape the monarchy's carefully guarded legacy. And as the truth edges closer to revelation, the implications extend far beyond history, threatening the present and future of the crown itself. Behind the regal composure of Queen Camilla lies a lifetime shaped by scrutiny, controversy, and perseverance. But what if the greatest challenge to her legacy was never public opinion, but a secret hidden within her own bloodline? As the historian's findings ripple through royal circles, Camilla's past and her place in history hangs in the balance. For the first time, the Queen's legacy faces a threat that could redefine her reign forever. Her journey to the throne was never destined to be simple. Long before she stood beside the king, Camilla existed at the center of one of the most scrutinized narratives in modern royal history. She was judged, misunderstood, and condemned in the court of public opinion, her name spoken with controversy and conviction. Yet through decades of relentless criticism she endured. Where others might have retreated, she remained steadfast, reshaping her image not through defiance, but through quiet resilience. Over time, hostility softened into acceptance, and acceptance into respect. Her ascent to queen consort was not merely ceremonial, it was a testament to perseverance, a triumph forged in adversity. But beneath this carefully restored legacy now lingers a shadow. The historian's discovery threatens not just a title, but the fragile narrative that has defined Camilla's place in history. If the sealed decree were to surface, its implications would reach far beyond protocol or prestige. It would strike at the heart of identity, raising unsettling questions about lineage, legitimacy, and belonging. For a woman who fought tirelessly to earn her place beside the crown, the revelation would not merely challenge her status, it would redefine her story, casting doubt where acceptance had finally taken root. Within royal circles, the whispers grow louder. Fictionalized commentators and insiders speak in hushed tones, their words heavy with implication. Some express sympathy, acknowledging the personal toll such a revelation could inflict upon a queen who has already endured so much. Others, more pragmatic, consider the constitutional ramifications, questioning how the monarchy might weather another storm of public scrutiny. Their reactions reveal a court divided between compassion and caution, loyalty and survival. The tension is palpable, as though history itself stands poised to pass judgment. At the center of it all lies the human dimension, one often obscured by ceremony and tradition. Beyond titles and protocol exists a woman shaped by love, loss, and an unyielding determination to belong. Camilla's legacy is not merely one of privilege, but of endurance. Her journey reflects the contrast between suffering and triumph, between rejection and redemption. To confront a secret rooted in her ancestry would be to confront the very foundation of her identity, a reckoning both deeply personal and profoundly public. As speculation intensifies, so too does the question of how the monarchy might respond. Would the crown shield its queen, preserving stability at any cost, or confront the truth in the name of integrity? The institution has survived centuries by mastering the art of discretion, yet the stakes have never felt more intimate, more consequential. Protecting Camilla would mean safeguarding continuity. Exposing the decree could redefine royal legitimacy itself. The choice, however, is no longer solely the crown's to make. A looming decision hangs in the balance, heavy with consequence. The revelation of the decree threatens not only Camilla's legacy, but the delicate equilibrium upon which the monarchy stands. In the quiet tension between truth and tradition, history awaits its verdict. Yet the fate of Camilla's legacy now rests in the hands of one individual, the historian, who must decide whether truth outweighs loyalty. Alone within the palace archives, the historian stands at a crossroads where history and loyalty collide. To reveal the document is to challenge the monarchy itself. To remain silent is to betray the very purpose of their life's work. As pressure mounts and danger looms, one question echoes through the silent vaults. Will truth prevail, or will the crown's secrets remain buried forever? The weight of the decree presses heavily upon the historian's conscience, its presence no longer confined to parchment but etched into thought and emotion. Years of service to the monarchy had cultivated reverence, discipline, and unwavering discretion. The crown was not merely an institution, it was a living symbol of continuity, stability, and identity. To protect its legacy had always been a sacred duty. Yet now, confronted with a truth capable of reshaping history, the historian finds themselves suspended between allegiance and integrity, torn by a choice that feels both inevitable and impossible. Professional integrity demands revelation. The historian's life has been devoted to preserving the authenticity of the past, ensuring that memory remains unaltered by convenience or power. Silence, once a virtue, now feels like complicity. To conceal the decree would be to betray the very principles that define their calling. Yet loyalty, deeply ingrained and fiercely personal, whispers of caution. The monarchy has endured for centuries through discretion, and to expose its hidden truths could fracture the delicate equilibrium upon which it stands. In this moral battleground, truth and loyalty clash with relentless intensity, each demanding sacrifice. Isolation begins to take root, tightening its grip with quiet persistence. Conversations grow guarded, trust becomes fragile, and the historian feels increasingly estranged from the world they once navigated with certainty. Doubt lingers in every interaction, and the burden of knowledge becomes both a privilege and a prison. The archives, once a sanctuary of scholarship, now feel like a confessional chamber where the past refuses to remain silent. The decree's words echo in memory, their implications impossible to ignore, their consequences impossible to predict. The mind drifts toward imagined futures, each more daunting than the last. Should the decree be revealed, the world would awaken to a revelation capable of igniting public outcry, constitutional debate, and profound scrutiny of the monarchy itself. Camilla's legacy could be irrevocably altered, her journey from controversy to queen overshadowed by a secret hidden in her ancestry. The crown, long revered as an emblem of continuity, would confront the fragile reality of its own fallibility. Yet to remain silent would condemn the truth to oblivion, ensuring that history's most consequential secret remains forever entombed. In moments of quiet reflection, the historian seeks counsel from trusted confidants' voices shaped by wisdom, loyalty, and conviction. Some urge restraint, reminding them that stability often depends upon silence, and that the monarchy's survival is inseparable from discretion. Others, driven by a reverence for truth, implore courage, insisting that history must never be sacrificed for comfort. These opposing counsel deepen the turmoil, transforming the historian's decision into a defining test of character. a reckoning that transcends personal consequence. The tension builds with relentless intensity, foreshadowing a decisive moment that will alter royal history. The decree rests as both relic and revelation, its authority unyielding, its silence deafening. Every passing hour sharpens the stakes, drawing the historian closer to a choice that will determine not only their own legacy, but the fate of the crown itself. Suspense lingers like a shadow, heavy with anticipation, as conviction begins to eclipse fear and resolve takes root in quiet defiance. And as dawn approaches over Buckingham Palace, the decision is made, and the world is about to learn the truth. In a moment that will reverberate across the globe, the historian unveils the forbidden document, igniting a storm that threatens to shake the monarchy to its core. News spreads like wildfire, igniting public debate, royal outrage, and constitutional uncertainty. As the world watches in disbelief, the question becomes unavoidable. Could this revelation strip Queen Camilla's family of their royal rights forever and redefine the very foundation of the British crown? The disclosure arrives not with quiet reverence, but with explosive consequence. The historian's decision fractures centuries of silence, thrusting the sealed decree into the public sphere where secrecy can no longer shield it. The words, once confined to hidden vaults, now echo across nations, igniting astonishment and disbelief. The revelation spreads with unstoppable momentum, carried by relentless headlines and impassioned debate, each retelling amplifying the shock. What had been whispered in shadows now stands exposed, demanding acknowledgement from a world captivated by the fragility of royal authority. Public reaction surges with electrifying intensity. Some respond with outrage, condemning the concealment of a truth that could reshape the monarchy's legitimacy. Others express sympathy for Queen Camilla, recognizing the profound human cost of a secret she may never have known. Across continents, commentators, historians, and citizens alike grapple with the revelation, their voices converging in a chorus of disbelief and fascination. The monarchy, long revered as a symbol of continuity, now finds itself scrutinized with unprecedented intensity, its secrets dissected beneath the unforgiving glare of global attention. Within the corridors of power, emergency deliberations unfold with urgency and unease. Buckingham Palace confronts the gravity of a crisis unlike any in recent memory, its advisors weighing tradition against transparency, preservation against accountability. Simultaneously, discussions ripple through Parliament, where constitutional experts debate the decree's authority and its potential implications for royal legitimacy. The stakes are immense, touching not only upon the future of a single family, but upon the very foundation of an institution that has endured for centuries. The question lingers with chilling resonance: can the crown withstand the truth it has long concealed? Speculation intensifies as legal scholars and historians examine the decree's language, their interpretations fueling both intrigue and uncertainty. If upheld, the edict could challenge titles, redefine lineage, and ignite a constitutional reckoning of historic magnitude. The prospect of such upheaval sends tremors through the aristocracy, where lineage is synonymous with identity and privilege. The monarchy, once perceived as immutable, now appears vulnerable, its authority shadowed by a revelation that refuses to be silenced. Within royal circles, emotional responses unfold with quiet intensity. Fictionalized insiders speak of disbelief and sorrow, their voices laden with concern for Queen Camilla, whose journey to acceptance now stands threatened by forces beyond her control. Historians reflect upon the significance of the moment, recognizing it as a rare convergence of truth and consequence, where the past collides with the present in a dramatic reckoning. Their reflections underscore the human dimension of the crisis, revealing the tension between reverence for tradition and the relentless pursuit of truth. As the revelation reverberates across the globe, anticipation builds around the monarchy's official response. Silence from Buckingham Palace deepens the suspense, transforming uncertainty into speculation, and rumor into expectation. The crown, confronted with its most explosive secret, stands poised at a precipice, its next move destined to shape the narrative of royal history. With each passing moment, tension intensifies, and the world waits, breathless, for a declaration that will either preserve the monarchy's legacy or redefine it forever. Yet as the dust settles and the echoes of revelation continue to resound, one final question lingers: what will history remember? And who will ultimately bear the cost of truth? As the echoes of revelation fade across the halls of Buckingham Palace, the monarchy stands at a crossroads between tradition and truth. The document has rewritten history, reshaped public perception, and cast an indelible shadow over Queen Camilla's legacy. In the wake of scandal and scrutiny, the world is left to ponder a haunting question: can a centuries-old institution survive the weight of its own secrets? Or will the truth forever redefine the crown? For centuries, the British monarchy has endured wars, revolutions, and relentless waves of public doubt, emerging each time with its authority intact. It has survived not merely through power, but through adaptation, resilience, and the careful preservation of tradition. Yet this revelation strikes deeper than any crisis before it. It challenges not only the perception of continuity, but the very narrative upon which the crown has been sustained. History, once a shield, now stands as both witness and judge, revealing that even the most enduring institutions are not immune to the truths they strive to conceal. At the heart of this reckoning lies Queen Camilla, a figure whose life has been shaped by scrutiny, resilience, and transformation. Her journey from controversy to acceptance, from whispered criticism to royal dignity, had come to symbolize perseverance within the modern monarchy. Now, the revelation of the decree casts a long and uncertain shadow over that legacy. Public perception shifts once more, divided between empathy and skepticism, admiration and doubt. To some, she remains a testament to endurance. To others, a symbol of a monarchy entangled in secrets. The narrative that once celebrated redemption now grapples with ambiguity, reminding the world that even triumphs may carry hidden burdens. Beyond titles and tradition, the emotional cost of royal secrecy emerges with profound clarity. The crown, revered as an emblem of continuity, is also an institution built upon silence and sacrifice. Families bear the weight of expectation, identities are shaped by lineage, and personal truths are often surrendered in service of stability. The decree's revelation underscores a painful reality: that beneath the grandeur of monarchy lies a deeply human struggle, one defined by loyalty, duty, and the relentless pursuit of belonging. In exposing the past, the truth does not merely reshape history, it reshapes lives. The broader implications extend far beyond a single family or a solitary decree. They strike at the delicate balance between tradition and transparency, authority and accountability. The monarchy's legitimacy, rooted in heritage and symbolism, now faces a renewed examination in an era defined by scrutiny and change. Can an institution steeped in centuries of secrecy reconcile its past with the demands of modern truth? Or will the revelation become a turning point, compelling the crown to redefine itself for a new generation? Throughout history, institutions have been reshaped by the truths they once sought to suppress. Empires have faltered, traditions have evolved, and narratives once accepted without question have been rewritten by the passage of time. The decree's emergence serves as a powerful reminder that history is not static, it is a living force, capable of altering destinies and redefining legacies. In confronting its past, the monarchy faces not only a moment of crisis but an opportunity for transformation, a chance to reconcile tradition with truth. And so, the story lingers in the silence that follows revelation, suspended between reverence and uncertainty. The crown endures, yet its future remains entwined with the echoes of a secret long concealed. As public debate continues and history reclaims its voice, one truth becomes undeniable: the legacy of the monarchy will forever bear the imprint of this moment, shaped by both its resilience and its reckoning. And as the palace lights dim and history turns another page, one truth remains: secrets buried in silence rarely stay hidden forever.